Hey, music community, Jeff here again. It's time for the second part of my little Discogs fun. You probably maybe saw the video I did on vinyl, but now I'm doing the one on CDs. And what this is, if you didn't see that one and don't know what I'm talking about, I'm sure most people are familiar with Discogs, maybe there's people that aren't. It's an online cataloging system to catalog your collection based on all the details, and it's a fun way to kind of keep track of what you have. And I have everything that I possibly can get my hands on is cataloged in there, so I can pretty much look at my entire collection. So what they do is you can look at albums and music and see how much they sold for in the past. And what they've done is they've got a low price, a high price, and a median price, where they basically are saying this is the least it's sold for, this is the most it's ever sold for, this is average of what it's probably selling for. So I've looked at the median prices of CDs to see what in my collection is the most expensive, potentially sellable, most expensive item. What do I got in my collection that's worth anything? Not that we buy to sell, but it's kind of fun sometimes. So I saw somebody else do this recently. I did it back in 2022 with records. I did it back in 2020 with just top 5 things in general, which included some CDs, or actually a DVD set at the time. So let's get into this. I did the vinyl. I'm doing the CDs. With the CDs, I don't, there weren't any box sets in there, but I'm excluding major releases as far as box sets or compilations that have multiple discs. So these are strictly just single releases, single items. So getting into this, starting off at number 10 is Government Mule with Holy Haunted House. This is basically it's self-released by the band many years ago, a couple decades ago probably. I don't even know if there's a date on here. It's one of those, the band 2007. Okay, not even as long as ago as I thought. I thought this was much longer. But this is a Halloween 2007 concert that they did. It looks like it was, I don't know, probably a soundboard recording. The band releases a lot of stuff. They're kind of like they bootleg their own stuff. It's, soundboard, great recording. So this was one that was actually officially released with the cover. It's a double record set. You can see it's a pretty nice ordeal. Not all of the stuff that they release would be this high quality. Anyway, this one is ranking in there at $66 is the median price for that. So fun stuff. Now, this is what surprised me. You're probably going to be like, I don't know who this guy is, but unless you've watched me long enough, you're like, I do know who that guy is, but I don't know who this guy is. But I have 5 of his albums in my collection in this list of top 10, and we're talking Larry Norman. I showed him a couple videos ago because of a new release that came out. Larry Norman is singer-songwriter, folksy at times, a little rocky at times, been around since the 60s, passed away in 2007. Oh, interesting, that was when that album came out. The grandfather, I guess you would call it now, the grandfather of Christian rock. He was a hippie of the 60s and, was involved in all of that stuff. And hippie music, Jesus music, all of that stuff back in the day. Larry Norman was one of the ones that was in the beginning and pushed the church and pushed things with cutting lyrics and music that was too ungospel-like. Anyway, he put out so much stuff over the years. Again, bootleggy type stuff, and it's still coming out. And a lot of times these releases, which tend to be CDRs for the most part, that have been continued to be pumped out, not only by him, but after his passing, his brother pumps out the stuff, is just archival stuff of Larry Norman. A lot of times you don't even get a lot of details on where they come from, and a lot of times it's just concert stuff, but there are times when it's studio tracks. In this case, it's concert stuff. Anyway, this came in at $68 in my collection, so there are quite a few of his in here. But next one up, Sweet Comfort Band, another band you may not be as familiar with. Sweet Comfort Band, this is a 2 CD set, but it's more like an anthology. It's got 4 of their albums. Well, that's on the same as the front. So I could see, this is kind of an anthology, but it is still just a 2 record set. But, this is ranking in there at $74, and I'm like, I guess I could sell this. I wouldn't try to get that much for it, but all of these albums have been reissued individually. I don't think. That's the thing. This came out in 2001. I need to see if were there any bonus tracks on here, because I really don't think there were. But then later they were all released individually as individual releases, high quality stuff. So honestly, I don't really need the anthology anymore. And here's one very obscure, which I guess is why it's expensive. Martyr and Betrayal. Kind of a death metal, hard, extreme, not really too extreme, not too death. Really heavy metal from back in the day. Martyr was a band that put out a lot of thrashy stuff, mostly independent releases. And then they later did some member changes, went on to become Betrayal, put out a couple albums. This is some like early stuff and some unreleased stuff, and you can't even see it because the print quality is really bad. But anyway, it is a CDR also, and so it is hard to find, and something I'd love to see somebody put this out. You know, some of these are just tracks from some of the early demos, but anyway, yeah. So I guess it's pretty rare to get nowadays, so that's why this one is $74 also. Back with Motorola Corolla, another Larry Norman one. This is, again, it's just got a lot of different stuff on here. I'm not even, you know, it doesn't have all the details for where all of these come from a lot of times, so, you know, live, studio clips, things like that, all out there. This one is coming in at $75, so another one from the Larry Norman collection. I've had most of these for quite a while, but, you know, they are harder to find, I guess, nowadays. All right, and then we're moving into something a little more familiar territory, Dream Theater. This is one of the unofficial bootlegs that Mike Portnoy used to do on his label back in the day. And this one, for some reason, I have all of these on these bootleggy things that he did, but for some reason, this particular one, which is just them doing a bunch of different cover tunes, this one is ranking in at $79. So worth a little bit there. And then we are back again with Larry Norman, Safe Crack, and this one's ranking up there at 85. This is probably one of my favorite albums. It's got a lot of studio tracks that I don't know, and so for me, this and there's some of my favorite songs on here from the era of Who Knows Where They Came From. And again, there's just little to no detail usually in here as to where these songs are from. Okay, there are some details in this one. I need to probably read up on that. It's been a while. But again, it's just a CDR, but it's got some really good songs in there, so I do enjoy that one. And again, that one's up there at 85. And then we got another live one. Again, Larry Norman, live at Cornerstone. This one's ranking up in there at $99. It's a 2002 release, Cornerstone 2001. So this was a later appearance at Cornerstone, and again, this one's ranking up there. What did I say? $99. All right, this one's kind of odd because it just came out, and it really hasn't sold that much. But the Striper Acousticize, when it came out, it sold out pretty quick, and I bought it. It is a CD of a acoustic live, and then a Blu-ray acoustic. A Blu-ray of the show that they did acoustically live, and then anyway, so this one is ranking up there on Discogs at $106, and it just came out just a couple months ago, so somebody sold it for $106, and that's probably, you know, messing with the figures. Who knows over time if that'll continue. They are reissuing this again now with, you know, in like 4K and with some other bonus stuff, which, you know, it's nice to have this one, but I'm going to want the new one. I wish there was somebody I could trade this in and get the new one without rebuying it all over again. But, you know, I'm a Striper supporter, so I'll probably end up rebuying it all over again. But, yeah, so this is a fairly recent release that for some reason just took off and is now up there. And then the absolute most expensive thing is back with Larry Norman. Haddam, which, again, I guess is a place that he played. This one is up there at $114. Again, it's just a live album of his that was recorded and released, part of the archival footage, and I don't know what makes this one so special that it's that expensive, but that's my most expensive CD in my collection. Now, if I go down and look a couple more, here's one that was surprising. I didn't pull it, but the right under my lowest one, in the $60 realm, I had two in $60 realm. One of the ones in the $60 realm was, get this, a Partridge Family album. Partridge Family CD. I have no idea why. The lowest it sold for is like $8, and the most it sold for I think was a little more, and the average price is $60. It's some of those reissues that came out like in 10 years ago or so, so maybe it's one of the harder ones to get. I don't know, but I thought that was funny that Partridge Family would have made it had it been a couple dollars more. But anyway, that's it for this one. Hope you enjoyed it. Just some fun look back at what might be worth anything in my collection. And I'll see you later. Rock on and rock hard.